Welcome to yet another episode of Chat with Champions. We have with us today Prakriti, who's a CA who prepared for CAT this year and will make it to IIM Lucknow. To talk a little about Prakriti, she has been practicing CA for some time and close to a year or 2 years of experience. She went on to prepare for the CAT and she did very well at it, getting calls from IIMs like IIM Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode. She also had an SPJ call. Let's talk to her and find out more about her. Hi Prakriti.
Hi. Hi
So,
ma'am.
how are you feeling now that you're going to make it to Lucknow?
So I think this is one of the happiest day of my life because it is a great achievement in itself and I'm really very happy.
So how is it? I mean, CAs usually work very hard. So they're used to the grind, they're used to working really hard. So how is it now? How did you prepare for CAT? Was it different or, you use some of the things that you learned?
So as a CA, what I feel is we always have this habit of studying for extra hours or stretching out and mugging up things, which is probably not the case with CAT. So initially when I started off, I used to actually try to sit till late and give it some time. But then I realized that CAT is very different from what CA is. So the strategy and the way you prepare for CAT is very different. So after that, initially I used to just attend the classes. I think I started my classes in March. So I was pretty on schedule with respect to joining classes, and I used to attend those classes. And I was working simultaneously till September, and September mid I think I quit my job, and then for 2 months I was studying at home, but that too maximum I think 4 to 5 hours was what went through. Only during the time when I started writing mocks, I used to sit for 3 hours for the mock, and then the review would take around 3 more hours. So that is probably 7 hours is the max that I've studied in a day.
So it is much less than what?
Yeah, it is very less than what you study for a CA course.
So when you joined, you must have thought, did you think it was possible? Did you think it's going to be difficult, it's going to be different?
So I think in any journeys there are ups and downs, it was a similar case. So when I joined, I was pretty confident it will happen because I was already a CA. Actually, I was a little overconfident at the start that it will be. So I had seen so many people who had actually done their CA and they had gotten through good colleges. But then once you start your journey, you realize oh my god, there's so much competition in CAT, and this was the first time I had actually given a percentile or the rank based examination. So then I had my own doubts. There were times when you write the mocks and you're not scoring what you really want to score. There are a lot of ups and downs, but then of course there is you are there, sir is there, and then you have your friends who are also going through similar phases, and I think that is what helps.
So how did you manage? You were working, you said, till September.
Yes.
So how did you balance your studies and your work?
So I think CAT doesn't require too much of sitting down and studying. So even if you're working 1 hour a day along with your work is more than enough. So that is how I used to manage. So be regular in classes, that is more than enough, and if you want to do something extra, then probably an hour a day.
So what did you do in that 1 hour?
So I started reading. So for verbal, you have to start a little early. So that is what my focus was. So in the initial months, say March, April, May, I used to read newspapers, and I'm not a voracious reader as such, but then I picked up some books and I started reading. So that is so nothing too much of efforts. Just regularly, you can pick up some newspaper, magazine and read for an hour. That is more than enough.
So did you have a schedule? Did you have a plan saying that I want to finish the syllabus by so and so time? Were there any plans made?
So the thing with me was that till September, when I leave my job, I wanted to start with the mocks after that. So that is what I followed. Initial months probably a little more on verbal, and then I started. So I was strong in DILR, but my cons was very weak. So then I started practicing a little bit more of cons. So as the time went by, I picked up the areas in which I was weak and I started studying that. So there are in syllabus in terms of completion of syllabus, there's not much. There are few questions that are there in the book that you're supposed to solve. and that is it. So it doesn't take too much of time. So that
Okay.
is how I went about.
So, coming back to your preparation and coming back to spending time in, you said you were weak in quant.
Yes.
So, what are the extra efforts that you took?
So, especially after mocks, so this is what I started doing. While analyzing mocks, I realized that where I am, so in quants also there are different sections. So there will be profit and loss in which I'll be good, but then there will be some other topic wherein engineer. So there is this thing that I think there's a preconception that engineers are good at quants. But what I realized, so we were we were a group of 2 engineers and 2 CAs who were preparing together. And while studying with them, I realized that okay, so it's not that we are bad at quants or they are good at quants. They are good at some topics and we are good at some topics. So that is how we went about. We started. So we realized that okay, so the engineer was having troubles with profit and loss, so I would help her in that. And whatever topic I was having trouble in, she helped me with that. So that is how we teamed up and we worked on quants. That is what it was.
Okay. And as you were approaching the exam, I'm sure when you left your job in September, there must have been, these questions, what if I don't crack?
Right.
So how did you tackle all that?
So I think I was pretty headstrong about taking, I really wanted to get through a B school this year. So that is the reason I left my job. Otherwise, I don't think if you are probably in the first year of your work, like I had 2 years of work ex. So I think if somebody with 1 year of work ex is coming in, you can easily manage with your work as well. But for me, I was very sure that I want to go for a college this year itself. So and I wanted to give the best that I can. So that's why I decided to leave my job, and especially when the time mocks, when you start writing mocks, the more you give the mocks, the better it is. So that's why I wanted
So
some
how many
time.
mocks did you